Hello and welcome to Easy English Podcast. My name is Adam, and I'm so glad you're here today. In this episode, I'm going to take you through a calm, simple day in my life. Nothing dramatic, nothing too exciting, just a peaceful, ordinary day full of quiet moments and gentle observations. I'll speak slowly, clearly, and with care so you can follow along, relax, and improve your English listening skills one step at a time. Are you ready? Let's begin. This morning I woke up before the alarm. The room was still dark, and for a few moments I just lay there quietly in bed, listening to the soft stillness of the early morning. There was a faint breeze coming in through the slightly open window. It carried with it a cool, clean scent, the kind of fresh air that only exists just before sunrise. I didn't hear any cars, no voices, just the gentle sound of a single bird singing somewhere far away. I stayed under the blanket for a while longer, feeling warm and safe, not thinking about anything in particular, just letting my thoughts come and go like clouds drifting in the sky. After a few minutes, I sat up slowly. I stretched my arms above my head, closed my eyes, and yawned. It felt good to stretch. I could hear my shoulders pop softly. A small smile appeared on my face. It was a quiet moment, but I appreciated it. I looked around the room. Everything was still in its place. The books on the small shelf, the cup of water on the desk, the soft light beginning to peek through the curtains. I placed my feet on the floor. It felt a little cold, but not unpleasant. I stood up slowly, taking a deep breath, and walked to the window. I opened it a little more. Outside, the sky had started to turn pale orange and gold. The buildings were still asleep. The trees stood still. It was a gentle, beautiful start to the day. I made my way to the bathroom. The tiles were cool under my feet. I turned on the tap and splashed some cold water on my face. It helped me wake up a little more. I brushed my teeth slowly, carefully, paying attention to each motion. I looked in the mirror and smiled at the sleepy version of myself looking back. My hair was messy, and my eyes were still adjusting to the light, but I felt peaceful. I didn't feel rushed. There was no need to hurry today, just one small step at a time. After I got ready, I walked into the kitchen. It was quiet there, too. The morning sun was starting to fill the room with a soft, warm light. I made myself a cup of tea, ginger tea, my favorite for mornings. I poured hot water into the mug and watched the tea bag float gently. I waited for it to steep, breathing in the soft, spicy aroma. While the tea was steeping, I stood by the window again, looking out. The street was beginning to wake up now. I saw a neighbor walking his dog, a cyclist passing slowly, and a few leaves dancing lightly in the breeze. For breakfast, I kept it simple. I made a bowl of oatmeal with warm milk, a drizzle of honey, and a few slices of banana on top. The texture was soft and gentle, just what I needed to start the day with kindness to myself. I sat down at the table, holding my warm mug in both hands, and took a slow sip. The tea was perfect. I took my time eating breakfast. No phone, no distractions, just me, my food, and the quiet morning. I looked at the steam rising from the bowl. I listened to the faint hum of the refrigerator. These were small things, ordinary things, but they brought me peace. After breakfast, I washed my bowl, refilled my tea, and sat on the couch for a few more minutes. I opened a notebook and wrote down a few thoughts. Nothing deep, just a few lines about the way the light looked today, or how the tea tasted. Writing helps me stay connected to the present moment. It reminds me to notice small things. Around 10:30, I got dressed to go outside. I had a short appointment not far from home, just something simple, but it gave me a reason to step out and walk. I put on a soft hoodie, my comfortable jeans, and my walking shoes. I packed my bag with a bottle of water and my headphones. I didn't need much. When I stepped outside, the air was cooler than I expected. I zipped up my hoodie and started walking slowly down the street. The sky was bright now, and the sun felt warm on my face. I passed the local grocery shop where I sometimes buy my vegetables and fruit. I waved to the shop owner. He always gives me the ripest bananas. There weren't many people on the sidewalk, just a few here and there. A woman walking with her child. A man jogging with music in his ears. The world was starting to move a little faster, but I continued at my own pace. As I walked, I thought about how much I enjoy mornings like this. Slow, peaceful, without pressure. I could feel the soft rhythm of my footsteps on the pavement. The breeze moved through the trees above me, making a soft rustling sound. I passed a small park where a few birds were picking at the grass. A dog barked in the distance. The sound echoed gently between the buildings. I reached the small clinic where I had my appointment. I was a little early, so I sat outside on a wooden bench in front of the entrance. The sun was shining on my legs. I took out my bottle of water and took a sip. I closed my eyes for a few seconds, breathing in deeply. And that, my friend, is where I'll stop for today. After sitting on the bench for a few minutes, I stood up and went inside for my appointment. It didn't take long, just a simple checkup. The staff were kind and polite. The nurse smiled and asked me how I was feeling. I said, "I feel good today. Thank you." After the appointment, I thanked everyone and stepped back outside. The sunlight felt even warmer now. The streets were a little busier. I could hear more footsteps, more voices, more of the city coming alive. But even in the middle of the movement, I still felt calm. I decided to walk a little longer before going home. I took a different path, a quieter street with trees on both sides. The leaves made soft shadows on the ground. I passed a bookstore. I didn't go in, but I looked at the display in the window. There was a new book with a blue cover that caught my attention. Maybe I'll come back for it someday. A few blocks later, I found a small coffee shop I like. It's not very popular, which I actually prefer. It's quiet, peaceful. I walked inside and the barista smiled and said, "The usual." I nodded and smiled back. I ordered a cup of black coffee and sat down by the window. The table was small, round, and made of wood. I took out my notebook again. I opened it and started writing. Just a few thoughts. The smell of fresh coffee filled the room. In the background, there was soft music playing, the kind that helps you think. I sat there for maybe 30 minutes. I sipped my coffee slowly. I watched people walk by outside the window. Some walked quickly, some moved slowly, like me. There was a man on a bike, a woman holding a baby, two teenagers laughing and pointing at something on their phones. Life was happening, moment by moment, and I was just sitting there watching it all with quiet attention. When I finished my coffee, I stood up, thanked the barista, and stepped outside again. The sun was now high in the sky. It was almost noon. I decided it was time to head home. The walk back was peaceful. I passed the same streets, the same people, the same breeze in the trees, but it felt a little different now, like I had experienced something small, but meaningful. I reached my building, climbed the stairs slowly, and unlocked the door. Inside, everything was quiet again. I took off my shoes, hung up my jacket, and went to the kitchen. I drank a glass of water. Then I walked to the living room and sat on the floor with my back against the couch. I took a deep breath. I was home. In the afternoon, I spent some time reading. I chose a short story, something gentle and easy to follow. I made a second cup of tea. I lit a small candle. It smelled like cinnamon and vanilla. The room felt warm and cozy. As I read, I underlined a few sentences that I liked. I do that sometimes, when a line speaks to me, or when it feels true. I like to come back to those lines later. They remind me of things I don't want to forget. After reading, I listened to some soft music. I closed my eyes and let the music fill the room. I didn't think much. I just listened. I felt relaxed. I felt present. In the evening, I cooked a simple dinner: rice, vegetables, and a little bit of chicken. I cooked slowly, carefully, without rushing. I added a little garlic, a little lemon. The kitchen smelled wonderful. I put on a quiet podcast while I ate. Something light, something thoughtful. After dinner, I cleaned up. I washed the dishes, dried them, and put them away. Then I made a small cup of mint tea and sat by the window again. Outside, the sky was turning orange, then pink, then deep blue. Night was coming. I watched the lights turn on in the buildings around me, one by one. A window here, a lamp there. People moving through their evenings in quiet ways just like me. I felt peaceful. I ended the day by writing one last thing in my notebook. Just a few sentences. Something simple, something true. Then I got ready for bed. I changed into soft pajamas, brushed my teeth, and turned off the main light. Only my small lamp stayed on. I climbed into bed and pulled the blanket up to my chin. I listened again, the same way I did in the morning. The sound of the night was soft. A few cars in the distance, a dog barking once, and then silence. I closed my eyes. I felt thankful for the day, not because it was special, but because I had noticed it. I had paid attention, and that, I think, is what makes a day beautiful. Good night, my friend, and thank you for sharing this day with me.